Well, thanks everybody. I'm going to talk to you today about visualizing the future and really talking about how do you leverage maps to get an analysis of data and a concept called location intelligence. So let me get my clicker right. First off, just an introduction about us and who we are, because you may be familiar with us, you may not. So we are a Google channel partner in Maps and Cloud, and we build repeatable solutions on web and mobile technology, and we work primarily in the enterprise space. My business partner, our CEO, is actually an ex-Googler, and it's one of the reasons why we leverage a lot of the Google technologies. So speaking of who we work with in the enterprise space, I'll go ahead and show you this. Probably some names on here you recognize. Some of you here are actually some of my clients. To those of you who are my clients, Salamat po. One thing to note is Google is not just a partner, they're also a client of ours. When they needed to expand some of the development services for Google Earth and Maps, they recruited us. So if you actually buy a Google Maps product and then call Google for support, there's a 50% chance that the person you're talking to works for Navagis. So now some questions. So who's used Google Earth in here? Okay. Somebody tell me, what's the first thing you did when you downloaded Google Earth? Look for your house. No matter where I go around the world, that is the first thing anybody does, except for one girl I met who looked at like where she worked. I was like, you're that odd sampler over there. So another question, who's used Google Maps? Who's used Grab or Uber? Who's used Grab or Uber to get here today? Okay, another question. So let's say you're stuck in a foreign country you've never been to, maybe some of you here, and let's say you leave the hotel and you're like, I want some coffee. How would you find out the closest coffee shop to you that has your taste? Anybody? Google Maps? Okay, anybody else have another answer? Okay, good. That's the right answer. But that gets us to location intelligence. So we had a problem, and I used Google Maps to help me solve it. So location intelligence is all about how do you analyze or bring together various different data sources, which is really key here for IoT, because at the end of the day, IoT is just another data source. So how do you bring that together, solve a problem, or answer a question through the context of location? Going back to Uber and Grab, that's really another good example of it from a consumer side. I have a problem. Get me from here to there as quickly as possible and cheap as possible. And all that's been made possible by integrating Google data sources, Waze, the smartphone information to create a single solution that solves my problem. So here's an example of location intelligence, of the visualization standpoint. So you're looking at multiple data sets coming from ships, tracking where they are, putting all that into one place, sticking on the map, and then showing you over time where it is. So this is a way to get insights into all of that information. So let's take a step back and talk about location historically. You know, hundreds of years ago it was paper maps. Even like 20, 30 years ago it was paper maps. When I took summer vacations growing up, we had a big road atlas. Who here remembers road atlases and paper maps? Like, yeah. Anybody here never seen a paper map? Someone maybe, okay, this audience is a little older, good. But, you know, we then went to like GIS, so Geospatial Information Systems, Esri, Jack Dangermond, Autodesk, all these big guys allowing you to use maps in your company. And then we go to like Google Maps and MapQuest. Actually, we go to MapQuest, and then we get to like Google Maps, Bing Maps, and then we get to like where we are like real-time traffic, which is kind of where Grab and Uber sit. And now let's talk about the future. I think IoT really falls into that. Because again, it's this massive data source that you're looking at. How do you visualize that? How do you contextualize that? And then also, really looking forward, machine learning. Like how do you start making predictions on this? And when you do, you know, don't overlook the context of location. Because all of those devices are somewhere. I mean, all you have to do in IoT is get a little device, put a SIM card on it, a little chip reader, and all of a sudden, boom, I got a smart refrigerator. I got my Nest. And we can still, even without a GPS chip, with just that SIM card, we can tell you where that thing is on the map using location services from Google and also some other competing providers. All right, so let's go into some use cases of like location intelligence that we've solved and could talk about what you can do. So like sales. So as you start analyzing this data, visualizing it, you look at it from the context of where are my customers, where are my sales, where do I make marketing plans, facility mapping, where are my stores, how do I go inside a facility, inside a warehouse, looking at the interior of it, operations logistics, where are my people, where is my supply chain flowing. These are some examples of location intelligence use cases you can use for your own enterprise. More like specific example here is visualizing sales data. So what you're looking at is point of sale data aggregated from a store, into a region, into another region. And now what you can do is solve questions like, where is the best performing product? Where should I spend marketing dollars? Where is the BlackBerry RIM, which is still BlackBerry's huge in Indonesia, where's that selling? Where's it not selling? Where should I move products? Bringing in that transactional sales data in the context of location to analyze it and just know automatically, oh, that's what's going on, that's where it is. Getting down to seeing how are even individual salespeople, how are they doing? Visualizing this data to the context of location. Going indoors again. So how do you route, how do you do a Waze for people inside your factory, inside your mall, inside your airport? How do you show them the points of interest? In the IoT realm, let's say you have a smart meter, which is somewhere. How do you then tell the person, it goes off, ding, 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 alarm. So how do you tell the person to go investigate it, how to get from factory floor A to B to C to go find that smart meter? So tying all of that together. Because at the end of the day, it all has a location. Another example of visualizing information over time, heat maps, aggregating all that data together in a broader context so you can know what's going on over time. Being able to share this information to your customers. This is also important. Store locators, coverage ability, driving people to your stores, driving people to buy your products. If a lot of your products and services may be location based. So how do you know, or your customers know, they can buy your service? If you're a telco, this is really key, especially fixed line. So communicating this and this type of data to the consumer public. Workforce, where are my people? How do I tell my people where to go? How do I track my people? How do I give my people maps of once I tell them where to go, they get there as efficiently as possible? So instead of them just, oh, I need to go here, let me type that into my Waze, go. How do you integrate your own Waze-like thing into your applications? Then how do you integrate that if they need to go indoors? So all of it is workforce management. Supply chain logistics visualization. In this case, what you're seeing is, the value is, okay, I know where my products flow. I know a product comes from A to B to C to D, but I may not actually know on the world where that flows. So you're looking at the actual flow of the materials. So when you look at the lead times, the production times, the backlog, you can look and go, okay, yeah, that's got to go from South Korea down the road, across the ocean, to Arizona, and then back to California. Okay, I get it. So now instead of spending 4 hours trying to figure out what's going on, you can spend an hour, make a decision, go on. Specific client example is Trucker Path. So it's in the vein of transportation logistics. They created an application just for truckers, collecting all of the data for truckers, because they're different than us on the road. They're different. Their trucks are huge. They can only go to certain places. They need to rest every so often. So they created an application specifically, where can you go, truckers? And then they took this application to build up a big user base. And then the next problem is, how do I connect a trucker, a long-haul trucker, an independent carrier, to a broker-backed shipper? So that's a marketplace that have truckloads, which is now, you can have my app, or their app, you can see where we are, the trucks. The brokers can say where their load is, where it needs to go, and it's trying to improve the time of getting goods shipped. Okay, now to kind of go into a more specific example here in the Philippines. So Aboitiz Power. So it's the distribution unit for Aboitiz Power. If you're not familiar with utility, there's power generation, transmission from the power to like the substations, and then how do you get it from there to your home? So Boyd's Power has several units across the Philippines distributing power to your homes. So they adopted like Oracle technologies, Oracle data systems, SCADA systems, a few other systems from other providers to help them, digitize their organization. But there wasn't like a constant mapping theme. Like maybe a system would have a map for itself, but then it's data siloed. Or then a system wouldn't have a map. So they realized that they really had a location intelligence problem of how do they pull that data together, one system, and then visualize the different information, like fraud prevention. Like they had manual processes for fraud prevention. How are they doing design? How do you visualize where you're in one place, where your assets are, your network, and your customers? So to take back to like Google and why we use Google and why I asked those questions earlier, is Google kind of really democratized maps. 15 years ago, if you wanted a map of your company, you called the GIS department and you say, give me a map. And they emailed you some kind of map or made something for you. Now with Google, everybody kind of understands location. If you want to create a platform to share data across your organization, you can tie it all together, plop it on a Google map, and then share it to your non-GIS people. People who don't understand Esri, Autodesk, Map Guide. But they go, oh, that's Google. I've seen that in Grab. I use it to find coffee. Now I see where my stores are. Okay, now I understand. So we use this as like the common distribution platform for information. Another thing that's important is it works anywhere, anytime, any device. Mobile, your laptop, it's distributed web. If you're getting IoT, it's really useful there because as I mentioned, you may not want to put a GPS unit into an IoT device, but you want to know where it is. So the Google APIs, and there's others as well, can tell you where it is. So it's really bringing all that together. So we built a map-based solution for them. So over the course of 2.5 years, we went in, and every business challenge they had from it, we incorporated some data, built a map module, incorporated more data, built another map module. Because we cut and sliced the UI based on, if I'm you in the organization, what's my problem? And then we cut a UI for you to specifically answer that problem. So if you're the pilferage protection guy, we took your algorithms, we applied it to the map, and then we started showing on the map, where are your bad accounts? What areas are you getting the most stealing of your power? And then you view it. If you're the design guy, you now have a map tool to go design on the map. Where do I put my wire? Where do I put my transformer? And then share that to the next guy who's then going to quality assurance it and do it. And one of the beauties is we didn't duplicate any data. We pulled all of the data from their existing data systems and just dynamically integrated as needed it on the map. So in their case, there were several business functions we did: pilferages, SCADA visualization, vegetation management, design, several different, as I said, several different use cases. Let's jump on to really the benefits that they got. So one of the key benefits they got was they used to have a highly trained engineer spend like 24 man-hours to do a design. And then he'd have to send it to like another person to do the design. Now they hire high school graduates, give them a week's worth of training, tell them to go design. All of the business logic is coming from their existing data systems. And then as they design on the map, we tell them, no, can't do that. No, can't do that. Okay, you can do that. And then after, it takes them about an hour now to do a design. They send it over to the highly paid engineer. And so instead of the engineer sitting around designing, he just approve, 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 approve. So the throughput went up, and their actual cost of design went down. The pilferage thing was really beneficial too, is they actually started recovering a lot of that lost revenue because they now could actually see what areas are the bad areas and actually go, oh, that's where that is. Okay, we need to send Pedro out there and start shutting off those things. So they had an increase in revenue and a decrease in lost revenue from that. Okay, so how much time do I have? Okay. I don't have a lot of time, but I'll just quickly go through this just to show you kind of what it is. The work orders, the data into the map, proposed assets, where the power lines are, infrared imagery. So this is just particularly good on vegetation management. You know, just all the different data you can visualize. Visualizing errors in data connectivity, correcting it, visualizing your customers, and then analyzing customer trends. So thank you.